It was a cold, rainy night in a small town on Earth. The sky was dark, and thunder rolled like drums in the distance. Most people were sleeping. But high above the clouds, something strange was coming. A silver spaceship appeared in the sky. It made no sound. It moved like a ghost. The ship slowly came down and landed behind an empty building near a human hospital. No one saw it. No one heard it. The door of the spaceship opened, and two tall alien doctors came out. They were wearing black suits and masks. They were carrying something in their arms. It was a girl. She looked young. Her skin was soft blue, her hair silver like the moon. Her body was weak, full of cuts and bruises. Her eyes were closed. She was still breathing, but just barely. One of the alien doctors spoke in a strange voice. She is useless. She failed the test. Leave her. The other one nodded. Let the humans deal with her. We are done. They dropped the girl on the wet ground, right outside the hospital doors. Then they turned around, walked back into the ship, and left. The ship vanished into the sky, gone like a shadow. The girl was alone, cold, and dying. Minutes passed. A nurse came outside for a smoke break. She saw something lying on the ground. At first, she thought it was a child. She ran closer and stopped. What the? She screamed and ran back inside. Doctors came out. They looked at the girl and frowned. She's not human, one of them said. We can't treat her, said another. Call security, a third one said. Put her somewhere else, they argued. No one touched her. No one helped her. Some were afraid. Others just didn't care. Then a man appeared. His name was Jake. He was a former soldier, tall, strong, and quiet. He was walking home from work when he saw the crowd. He walked up and saw the blue-skinned girl lying there, shivering in the cold rain. Her chest moved slowly. She was alive. But no one was helping her. What happened? Jake asked. She's an alien, a nurse whispered. She's not our problem, said a doctor. She's not human, said another. Then why is she breathing? Jake said. No one answered. Jake looked at her again. She looked small and broken, but her face showed pain and something else. Fear. Jake made a decision. I'm taking her, he said. What? You can't do that, a doctor shouted. She needs help. If you won't give it, I will. Jake picked her up in his arms. She was light as a feather. Her skin was cold like ice. Her eyes opened for a second. She looked at him. A tear fell from her eye. Then she passed out again. Jake walked away, fast. The doctors didn't stop him. They didn't want trouble. But Jake didn't go to another hospital. He didn't trust them anymore. He had another idea. He drove across town to an old building with a glowing sign. Dr. Sarah, Animal Clinic. He banged on the door. Inside, a woman in her 30s opened the door. She wore glasses, a lab coat, and had a sleepy face. Jake? It's midnight. What's wrong? Jake showed her the girl. Please, he said. I need your help. Sarah stepped back. That's not a person. She's alive. She's hurt. I couldn't leave her there. Sarah stared at the girl for a moment. Then she opened the door wide. Bring her in. Inside the clinic, they placed the girl on a table usually used for animals. This is crazy, Sarah said. I don't know anything about aliens. You know how to save lives, Jake said. That's enough. Sarah took a deep breath. She started checking the girl's pulse. Her eyes widened. Her heart, it beats different. Her blood, it's purple. Jake, I don't know what I'm doing. You're the only one trying, Jake said. Sarah used her tools, scanners, lights, medical gear to clean the wounds. She wrapped the girl's arms and gave her oxygen. Suddenly, the girl gasped and opened her eyes. She looked around, fast panic in her face. She sat up quickly and screamed in a strange language. Calm down. Sarah shouted. But the girl looked afraid. She saw wires, lights, and tools. She thought she was in danger. She pushed Sarah away and tried to run, but she was too weak. Jake stepped forward, slowly. "You're safe," he said. "No one will hurt you." The girl looked into his eyes, her breathing slowed. Then she fell back on the table, unconscious. Sarah looked at Jake. "What did you get us into?" Jake stared at the girl. "I don't know," he said, "but we can't let her die." It started with a scream, not loud, not angry. A scream of fear. It came from a girl who didn't belong on Earth. Inside a small animal clinic, everything froze. The lights flickered, medical tools rattled. The girl's eyes were wide, glowing slightly. Her hands trembled. Her chest rose and fell too fast. She looked around. Strange walls, strange smells. A tall man stood near her. A woman with gloves held a metal tool. Panic took over. She tried to speak, but only strange sounds came out. Then, she fainted again. Jake caught her just in time. Dr. Sarah took off her gloves. Her hands were shaking. She wasn't used to this, not even close. "She's going to die," Sarah said. "I'm not a doctor for her kind. I treat dogs, cats, rabbits, not aliens." Jake gently laid the girl back on the table. "But you're the only one who didn't walk away," he said. Sarah sighed. She ran her fingers through her hair. "I didn't sign up for this." Jake looked down at the blue-skinned girl. Her cuts were deep. Her body was full of strange marks, burns, scars, and something that looked like wires under her skin. He whispered, "They just left her there, like trash." Sarah turned to her desk and pulled out an old scanner she used for sick animals. She passed it over the girl's body. The screen blinked. "Vitals unstable, unknown life form, DNA mismatch." Jake stared at the screen. "What does that mean?" "It means I have no idea what's keeping her alive." Sarah opened a drawer and pulled out a small box of emergency supplies, fluids, painkillers, oxygen tubes. "I can try. But if something goes wrong," Jake nodded, "I'll take the blame." They worked together. Slowly, carefully, Sarah cleaned her wounds again and used a cold laser to close the cuts. She injected her with something to stop the pain. She stitched the worst gash on her side. Hours passed. The rain outside didn't stop. Jake sat next to the table, watching the girl breathe, in, out, slow, weak. Sarah finally sat down beside him. "This is insane," she whispered. "She's kind of beautiful, though." Jake smiled a little. "Yeah, she is." They sat in silence. Then, the girl opened her eyes again. This time she didn't scream. She blinked, looked at Jake, looked at Sarah, then touched her chest where the wound had been. Jake leaned forward. "Hey, can you understand me?" The girl looked at him. Her lips moved slowly. Then she whispered a single word in broken English. "Hunter." Jake's blood turned cold. "What did she say?" Sarah asked. "I think she said, Hunter." The girl closed her eyes again. Her body shivered. She whispered more words, too quiet to understand. Then she passed out. Jake stood up. His voice was firm. "We need to keep her hidden." Sarah frowned. "From who? Alien doctors? The government? A hunter?" Jake stared at the window. "I don't know, but something is coming. And it's not friendly." Suddenly, the scanner beeped again. Sarah looked down. Her eyes went wide. "What is it?" Jake asked. She turned the screen toward him. "Signal detected. External connection active. Tracking pulse sent." Jake's heart raced. "She's being tracked?" Sarah nodded slowly. "And now, they know exactly where we are." Jake grabbed his coat and locked the doors. "If they're coming," he said, "then we fight." The lights turned red. Just for 1 second. Then back to normal. Dr. Sarah froze. Jake stood still. The alien girl Keela was asleep, her body calm, but the scanner, Next to her was not. It beeped again. Beep, beep. The signal was louder now. Sharper. Jake leaned over the screen. What does this mean? Sarah looked at the data. Her voice was low. Something, or someone, has locked onto her. Jake's face tightened. Then it's not over. An hour passed. Keela woke up. She sat up slowly. Her eyes were clearer, now more focused. She saw Jake and didn't flinch. Her voice was soft, careful. You saved me. Jake nodded. What's your name? Keela, she said. Unit 47Z. Test Group 4. Emotion Implant Experiment. Subject. Failure. Sarah blinked. Wait, what does that mean? Keela looked down at her hands. My kind, they don't feel. Number. Fear, no sadness, no love. She paused. Her fingers to her heart. But I feel, I cry, I care. That is, wrong to them. Jake sat beside her. So they just left you? Keela nodded. Doctors said. I am broken. I was not supposed to survive. But I did. She looked up, fear in her voice. They sent the hunter to finish the job. Jake stood up fast. What is this hunter? Keela closed her eyes. He is not a man, not like you. He is made of metal and code, no heart, no soul. He finds us. He ends us. Sarah swallowed hard. So a killer robot? Jake said nothing. He just stared at the scanner, which was now blinking. Red. Faster. Louder. Beep. 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 Keel. It touched Jake's arm. I don't want to die. Jake looked into her glowing eyes. Then you won't. That night, Jake started making plans. He pulled an old black bag from his truck, military gear. Duct tape. Tools. Knives. Wire. A pistol. A flashlight with a cracked lens. Sarah watched him from the doorway. You're going to fight that thing. If I have to. You're not a superhero, Jake. Jake loaded the pistol. No, but I was trained to handle things no one else could. Sarah sighed. We could run. He'll follow. Then what do we do? Jake looked out the window into the dark forest behind the clinic. We make it hard for him. Meanwhile, Keela sat alone in the exam room. Her fingers touched a scar on her arm. She remembered the lab, the cold, the electric tests. The voices calling her, it. Now she was here. On Earth. With people who helped her. Her heart ached, but in a good way. A new feeling, warm, strange. She whispered, Jake, Sarah, are not like my people. Then the scanner beeped once more. A new voice came from the speaker. Subject located. Termination in progress. Keela jumped up. Sarah rushed in. What was that? Keela pointed at the speaker. He is here. Jake burst in next. He grabbed his rifle. Time's up. Sarah looked scared. We have to move her. Jake nodded. Get your things. We're going off grid. He turned to Keela. Can you walk? Keela stood slowly. Her legs were weak, but she nodded. I will not slow you down. Jake helped her to her feet. You're not slowing us down. You're the reason we're fighting. Keela looked at him, surprised. No one has ever said that to me before. Jake smiled. Get used to it. They left the clinic before midnight. Sarah drove. Jake watched the skies. Keela sat quietly in the back seat, hands glowing faintly. Behind them, in the distance, a tall shadow stepped out of the trees. Metal legs. Red eyes. A sharp arm that changed shape. The hunter had arrived. It looked at the empty clinic. Then it spoke. Target has moved. Begin pursuit. Asterisk. The stars were too quiet. As the car raced through dark forest roads, Keela stared up at the sky. It looked peaceful, calm, but she knew better. Her people were up there, cold, heartless, watching from afar. And now the hunter was down here. With her. She wasn't sure what was worse. Inside the car, no one spoke. The only sound was the tires on wet gravel and the soft hum of Keela's glowing hands as she pressed them to her chest. Jake kept his eyes on the road. His jaw was tight. Sarah held the steering wheel with both hands. We can't keep running forever, Jake nodded. Then we make a trap. A few miles later, they stopped at an old abandoned ranger station in the mountains. It hadn't been used in years. Broken windows, dusty floors, and spiderwebs in every corner. Jake walked in, first with his flashlight. This will do, Sarah coughed. It smells like raccoons. Jake smiled. Perfect. No one comes here. Keela sat down on a wooden bench. Her legs were shaking. Jake kneeled beside her. Are you okay? Keela looked at him. He's getting closer. Jake handed her a bottle of water. Let him come. That night, Keela had a dream. But it didn't feel like a dream. She was back in the lab, cold, white, silent. She saw herself as a child, small, crying. A metal hand touched her forehead. A voice said, "Emotion is error. You must be corrected." Then the child screamed and turned to light. Keela woke up, gasping. Her hands were glowing again, but brighter this time. Jake rushed over. What's happening? Keela looked at her palms. I think I'm changing. Sarah came closer. Changing how? I was made to feel, but now I can do more. She raised her hand, and the broken light bulb in the ceiling blinked back to life. Jake stepped back. You just powered that. Keela nodded. I don't know how, it just happens. The next morning, Jake laid out the plan. We build traps. Slow him down. Buy time. Sarah looked worried. He's a machine, Jake. You can't outsmart a machine. Jake smiled. You can if you used to be trained by one. He grabbed wires, explosives, and metal rods from the back of his truck. Sarah used her medical tools to build makeshift sensors. Keela focused her energy, practicing small sparks from her fingers. Together, they prepared. Together, they became a team. But they weren't the only ones moving. Far away, inside a hidden base on Earth, two men in black suits were watching security feeds. One pointed at a screen. Subject 47Z has activated. The hunter's signal confirms contact. The other narrowed his eyes. And the human who took her in? A former soldier. Dangerous. The man sighed. Prepare extraction units. The girl is no longer a test. She's now a threat. That evening, Jake was outside setting the last tripwire when Keela walked up to him. Why are you doing this? She asked. Jake didn't stop working. Because I saw you dying and nobody cared. But I'm not like you. Jake stood up and looked her in the eyes. Doesn't matter. You felt scared. That makes you more like us than the ones. Who made you? Keela blinked. Where I'm from, emotion is weakness. Jake shook his head. Where I'm from, emotion is what makes us fight. Suddenly, the sensor beeped twice. Then silence. Jake's face changed. He turned to Sarah. Shut the lights. Everyone went quiet. Then they heard it. Soft thud. Another. Another. From the woods came a figure, tall, cold, and glowing. The hunter had found them, but he wasn't alone. Behind him came humans, soldiers, armed and silent. Keela whispered, Those are not my people. Jake narrowed his eyes. No, they're ours. A voice boomed from a speaker. You are holding an unstable subject. Surrender her. Now. Jake didn't move. Keela stepped forward, shaking. Jake pulled her behind him. Sarah whispered, What do we do? Jake whispered back, calm but ready. We don't surrender. We survive. The first shot missed, but the second didn't. A tree exploded behind Jake as bullets flew through the mountain air. Keela screamed. Sarah hit the ground. And Jake fired back. It had begun. The hunter stood tall, cold metal, red eyes glowing. Around him were black-clad human soldiers with strange tech, and no mercy. They were not here to capture. They were here to erase. Jake dove behind a log and shouted, Go! Take Keela inside. Sarah grabbed Keela's hand. Come on. But Keela didn't move. Her eyes were glowing brighter than ever. Her skin shimmered with pale blue light. She wasn't shaking anymore. She was changing inside the cabin. Sarah slammed the door shut and pushed a table in front of it. Keela sat down on the floor, breathing heavy. Sarah stared at her. What's happening to you? Keela looked at her hands. I don't know, but something inside me is waking up. Outside, Jake fought like a soldier trained in 100 wars. He didn't care who they were. He didn't care if they were human or not. They wanted to kill a girl he saved. He wasn't letting that happen. One soldier moved too fast for normal. Jake ducked and rolled, planting a trap he built earlier. Click. The explosion shook the ground. Smoke covered the forest, but the hunter kept walking. Step by step, silent, unstoppable. Jake stared at him. Okay, big guy. Let's see if you can bleed. He pulled out his last EMP grenade stolen from an old mission. Toss. Boom. The shockwave hit the hunter, straight in the chest. For a second, just 1 second, it stopped moving. Jake ran back toward the cabin. Inside, Keela stood up slowly. Sarah asked, Are you okay? Keela nodded. No, but I have to help him. You can barely stand. Keela looked out the window. Jake was limping, holding his side. He had blood on his shirt. Her heart beat faster. Her hands sparked. No one has ever fought for me, she said. Now I will fight for him. Keela opened the door. Sarah shouted, Wait. But it was too late. Keela stepped outside, and the moment she did, the hunter turned to her. He scanned her from head to toe. Target locked. Emotion error detected. Termination required. Keela took a deep breath. Then she raised her hands. Light exploded from her fingers like fire and wind. It hit the hunter straight in the chest, and this time he moved back. Jake stared, shocked. What did you just do? Keela looked at her glowing arms. I stopped hiding. But the hunter wasn't done. His chest opened, revealing spinning metal and dark wires. A pulse beam shot out. Jake pushed Keela out of the way, but the blast hit him in the shoulder. He fell hard. Jake! Keela cried. Something broke inside her. Fear turned to fury. She screamed, and her entire body lit up. She wasn't just glowing now. She was burning with energy. The wind shook. Trees bent. The ground cracked. Even the hunter paused. In that moment, Keela ran forward. Fast like lightning. She touched the hunter's chest and released all her energy in one scream. You will not take him. The explosion blinded everyone. When the light faded, the hunter was on the ground. His chest smoked. His eyes flickered. And then darkness. Sarah ran outside, coughing from the smoke. She found Keela on her knees and Jake next to her, alive but weak. Keela looked at Jake. Are you okay? Jake coughed and smiled. You glow really bright when you're mad. Keela laughed a real laugh. It was the first time she had ever done that in her life. But then, far in the distance, a sound echoed, not one ship, but many. Sarah looked at the sky. Please don't tell me that was only round one. Jake stood up slowly. They won't stop. Keela stared at the stars. They will keep coming, unless we find my ship. Jake turned to her. You had a ship? Keela nodded. It crashed not far from here. If we can reach it, I might be able to end this. Jake cracked his knuckles. Then what are we waiting for? Her ship was buried in silence. Not fire, not wreckage. Just silence. Underneath a mossy hill deep in the forest, something waited. Something cold, ancient, and forgotten. Keela stood in front of it now. Her glowing hand touched a metal surface hidden under the earth. As her fingers brushed across it, the vines pulled away like they recognized her. Jake stood behind her, watching. Sarah held a scanner. It's alien tech, all right. And it's waking up. The entrance opened with a soft hiss. Inside was a narrow tunnel. Blue lights turned on one by one, like stars lighting a path. The walls were smooth and silver. Symbols danced along them, glowing softly in the dark. Keela walked ahead. Jake followed close behind. Hand on his weapon. Sarah whispered, "Is this safe?" Keela didn't answer. Not yet. They reached the control room. It was round, hollow, filled with holograms. A chair in the center, cracked but still active. Screens flickered to life as Keela stepped forward. She pressed her hand to the console, and the ship began to remember. A soft voice echoed through the chamber. "Welcome back. Subject 47Z, accessing emotional log." Jake raised an eyebrow. "Emotional log?" Keela looked down. "Before they threw me away, they made us keep records, thoughts, feelings, dreams. We weren't supposed to dream." The screen lit up with images. Keela as a child, locked in a white room. She reached for a flower. A soldier stepped in and crushed it. She smiled at a fellow test subject. That subject was taken away and never seen again. She cried. They punished her. Jake's hands curled into fists. "They hurt you for being alive," Keela nodded. "My people believe emotion is a virus. They built us to test if it could be controlled. But when we started to feel, they shut the whole project down." Sarah asked gently, "Why didn't they just let you live?" Keela's voice broke. "Because I was the last one left." The screen showed more. Keela's escape, the ship crashing, her body broken, her signal calling for help. But instead of rescue, the alien doctors came and left her outside to die. Jake turned away, angry. "You were never broken." "They were." Keela looked at him, her voice soft. "You say that like it's easy to believe." Jake looked back at her. "It's easy when I've seen what you can do." Suddenly, the ship's alarm beeped. Sarah jumped. "Now what?" The ship spoke again. "Hunter unit offline. Backup protocol activated. Orbital unit inbound. Estimated arrival, 24 minutes. Jake's eyes narrowed. "They're sending something bigger." Keela stared at the screen. "An orbital strike. It won't just kill me. It'll erase this whole forest." Sarah gasped. "That's insane." Jake stepped forward. "Then we end it here." Keela walked to the central console. "I can use the ship's core. If I connect my energy, I can overload the signal. It will send a message back to them one they can't ignore." Jake frowned. "What kind of message?" Keela turned to him. Her face was calm now. "That I am not a failure." Sarah whispered, "Will it work?" Keela didn't answer right away. Jake stepped closer. "Will it kill you?" Still silent, he gently held her hand. "You don't have to prove anything to them, not anymore." Keela looked into his eyes. "I know. I'm not doing it for them." She looked at both of them. "I'm doing it for you." Jake's voice cracked. "Then we stand with you." Keela smiled a full, honest smile. "Then let's end this together." The sky was falling, but no one ran. No one screamed. Only 3 souls stood between the end and a new beginning. Keela, Jake, Sarah. They had no army, no backup, no time left. Above them, in the clouds, the alien ship descended, massive, silent, deadly. It carried a weapon meant to erase Keela from the universe, not kill her. Erase her. Jake gripped his rifle. Sarah held a device that hummed with power. Keela stood in the center of her old ship, hands glowing like twin suns. Jake looked up. "That thing's huge." Sarah checked her scanner. "It's not just a ship. It's a flying execution order." Keela stepped forward. Her voice was calm. "Once it locks on me, it'll fire. The forest, the ship, all of us gone." Jake frowned. "Unless you stop it." Keela nodded. "Unless I finish what they started." She placed her hand on the ship's core. An orb of bright, swirling light. The console lit up. The room shook. The ship spoke. Core connection detected. Overload risk, 87%. Begin transmission? Keela took a breath. Begin. A beam of light shot from the roof of the ship straight into the sky. The alien ship paused, its weapons powered up. It had found her. Jake grabbed Keela's shoulder. Don't go too far. Stay with us. Keela gave a soft smile. I'm not dying today, Jake. I'm proving I was worth saving. Then everything happened at once. The alien ship fired its main cannon bright, blinding. But at the same moment, Keela screamed and pushed all her energy into the core. The ship responded. Her light met their fire. The sky lit up with a thunderstorm of alien tech and raw emotion. Sarah screamed over the noise. Jake, look. Keela floated off the ground, her body glowing with silver and gold energy. Her scars burned away. Her wounds healed. She wasn't broken anymore. She was becoming something new. Something they had feared. Something they could never control. The alien ship trembled. The energy blast turned back toward it. Jake watched in awe. She's winning. The sky exploded. The enemy ship cracked, broke apart, and fell in pieces, burning into Earth's atmosphere like fireflies. Then silence. Just wind. Just breathing. Jake ran forward. Keela. She was lying on the floor of the ship, eyes closed. Not moving. Sarah checked her pulse. Nothing. No. Jake whispered. He dropped to his knees beside her. You did it. You saved us. You proved them wrong. Please, wake up. He placed his hand on hers for a long, still moment. Nothing. Then her fingers switched. Keela opened her eyes slowly. I heard your voice, she whispered. Jake smiled through tears. You're really hard to lose, you know that. Keela blinked, confused. Is that a good thing? Jake laughed. It is now. Days later, the forest was quiet again. The skies were clear. No more signals. No more threats. Sarah reopened her clinic. Jake fixed the roof of the old ranger station. And Keela? She sat in the sunlight, planting her first flower. Not hiding, not running. Just living.